good evening to you. What a wonderful day it is. It is our last day in county number 18, Nyandarua County, and we're bringing you this bulletin live from the Olbolosot Resort Lodge here in Olkalau, Nyandarua County. Quite an experience we've had and stories for you. And before we get into it, the highlights.
Tafadhali tupitishe huu mswada na ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba sheria zetu zinalingana na katiba yetu vile imesema.
President Kenyatta calls on MPs to pass 2/3 gender bill as the executive backs push for gender parity.
Wewe mwanaume mjumbe unasema mimi ndio niko na kina mama ndio wako reliable, ndio wangwana, ndio wamenipitisha. Saa hizi ni wakati wa kusimama na hawa kina mama.
The National Assembly will be making a decision on Tuesday. Farm manager in retired Justice Effie Awar's farm killed overnight.
This is an isolated incident. It's a criminal incident of one particular person, but not a community.
Police move in to calm tribal tensions sparked by the nighttime attacks along the border between Nandi and Kisumu counties.
Ikiwa Safaricom is the richest, inawezekana namna gani mimi mtu mmoja natoa pesa kila weekend, kila pahali kushinda hata Safaricom?
Nimejipanga na kanisa kwa sababu siwezi kuwa hasla hapa duniani alafu niende nikuwe hasla tena mbinguni.
NC leader Musalia Mudavadi insists he will stay the course as an opposition politician as he lines up the deputy president in his sights. From the Mau Mau caves to sporting legends.
Kawini steeplechase, they have very good record time of 805.5. It's almost the world record. Na hiyo record ilikaa bila ilivunjwa mwaka jana na Kipsengeri.
NTV on the road stays in Nyandarua County tonight. We host the governor.
NTV Weekend Edition with Zainab Ismail.
All right, and of course joining me is Sami Dohi. He is a local artist and of course will be giving us a glimpse of what Nyandarua County has to offer. Sami, just give us a taste of the music that you have for us.
Agithama kwa agithirodwa ine tuthie tugake mucii witu cio makwirire ndi muheju mamenye niwe tarathimiro.
All right, well, Ramon, and of course we'll be joining Sami Dohi in just a short while to bring us, interesting versions of the music that he is producing here in Nyandarua. But before that, let's take a look at our top stories. President Uhuru Kenyatta has appealed to parents of this year's KCPE candidates to ensure that all those who wrote their exams transition to high school to secure their future. The president said that the soon-to-be-released national exams were well managed with the minimal attempts at cheating reported. He said that before Christmas, all the candidates will be aware of the schools that they are to attend for their secondary education and that the parents should be prepared to facilitate the transition come January. The president asked the church to partner with the state in the establishment and safeguard of the society's moral fiber that would guide the future generation. He was speaking during the celebration ceremony of the 30th anniversary of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa in Juja.
Kila mtoto ambaye alifanya mtihani wa standard 8 atapata nafasi ya kwenda form 1. Na mimi ningeomba wazazi tusaidiane, tuhakikishe ya kwamba hakuna mtoto ambaye atawachwa nyumbani. It is our responsibility, first and foremost as parents, to ensure that our young children, hawa ni watoto wa miaka 12, 13, sasa ukisema hako shule, si sasa hapo ndipo tabia mbaya zinaanzia. Wacha watoto wote wasome mpaka standard form 4. Wakimaliza form 4, tutakuwa na nafasi za university, tutakuwa na nafasi za TVET ambacho watoto wanaweza kuenda kusoma wapate ujuzi ile wataweza kupata. Lakini let us not have our young children walking around idly. Let them be in school.
Now, police in Kisumu and Nandi counties have moved in to diffuse tension along the Nandi-Kisumu border after a manager at retired Judge Effie Awar's farm was hacked to death and her son left for dead in what appears to be a land dispute. Kisumu County Police Commander Job Boronjo told NTV's Oko Kusa that they have intensified their hunt for the 5-man gang suspected of carrying out yesterday's attack.
A contingent of both regular and administration police was early today deployed to Nyangore area in Muhoroni sub-county where the attack that left George Bengo dead and Paul Ward with life-threatening injuries occurred.
This is an isolated incident. It's a criminal incident of one particular person, but not a community.
Those who witnessed the incident told us in private that George, who was conducting a routine patrol on the farm, was attacked by the gang led by one Isaac Kipto, alias Malakwen, when he demanded to know why they were plowing the land said to belong to retired Judge Effie Owuor.
Hiyo kitu tulisikia tu kama stuko. Kwa hivyo ni mbaya.
Leave that issue to us. Tutafuatilia kabisa.
Police this morning held a series of peace meetings with residents of Potopoto area in Nandi County and Kopere area within Kisumu County in a bid to avert any possible tribal clashes.
Let's avoid confrontation. Let's not use this crisis to cause chaos or maybe to just destabilize peace in this sub-county.
The people who have been causing chaos are from the other side. In fact, we should have several meetings and arrests, and even those who can now not beyond that should be killed. Like somebody coming from all that side up to there to kill somebody. That is not even somebody who should be high.
Police are optimistic of bringing to book the suspect, who residents described as a hardcore criminal leading a gang that encroaches on people's land in the area. Oko Kusa, NTV.
And away from that, a decision by former Kisumu Governor Jack Rangoma to use county funds to pay for his private stay in a hotel during his first months in office has returned to haunt him as Parliament now wants him arrested and prosecuted. Rangoma is said to have paid 20 million shillings for accommodation, rent and car hire services despite the county renting out a house for him to use. NTV Silas Apollo reports on details of a report by the Senate Public Accounts Committee which says that the actions by the governor amounted to abuse of office.
The Senate Public Accounts Committee says the former governor abused privileges that came with his office and now wants him prosecuted. According to the committee, Jack Rangoma's term saw the loss of millions of shillings in the form of corruption, theft and overpayment of goods and services, some of which were overpriced above market rates. Rangoma spent 20 million shillings during his first months in office to stay in a hotel within the county at the expense of the taxpayer. During this time, he also hired a private car for his daily commute. All this while, the county government was also paying rent worth 540,000 shillings monthly for the governor's residence, an amount that was never recovered. The Moses Kajwang-led committee says that it was surprised by a lack of explanation as to why the governor could not occupy the official residence of the former mayor of the now-defunct Municipal Council of Kisumu so as to save on the cost of accommodation in a hotel. Of the 20 million shillings, the county paid 4 million shillings for full board accommodation at the hotel, 5.5 million shillings for car hire, and another 9 million shillings whose expense was not explained. Rangoma also paid 13 million shillings for a court case which was not clearly explained to the auditors. The committee says that the files presented for audit purposes did not have the background of the case, evidence of defense and the ruling. It is also not clear why the payment was made without considering the option of appeal against the court award. The committee now wants the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and the Directorate of Criminal Investigation to investigate the governor and charge him in court. Silas Apollo, NTV.
And on to some politics now. Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi is now calling on churches to be cautious of monies some politicians are donating frequently, arguing it is not clean money. According to Mudavadi, some of them are contributing more than what the most profitable company in the country is setting aside for its CSR programs. The NC leader called on churches to desist from glorifying people who he described as hustlers. NTV's political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi with more.
Churches have turned to politicians who are considered moneyed to complete ongoing projects they have or to upgrade the churches they have to modern standards. Some, like Deputy President William Ruto, have received a serious backlash on their donations to churches almost on a weekly basis. The latest such salvo coming from ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, whose veiled reference could not conceal his obvious target.
Ikiwa Safaricom is the richest, inawezekana namna gani mimi mtu mmoja natoa pesa kila weekend, kila pahali kushinda hata Safaricom?
Mudavadi was also contributing to the church's construction. It is a new battlefront that the ANC leader has opened, and it is likely to attract the attention of DP Ruto's allies who have defended his giving to churches before, especially attacks that came from ODM leader Raila Odinga and his lieutenants.
Has it ever occurred to you that if somebody is able to generate so much resource and donate so much, why didn't he feature as one of the largest taxpayers the other day when the president was honoring the premium taxpayers?
Mudavadi wants the church to be wary of such characters and to start asking questions.
Nikitoka kule na nimechukua sanduku la wenyewe limejaa nguo, nikimbie niingie hapa kwa kanisa, mutanisukuma nje na museme we don't want to be associated with you because you are handling stolen goods. Peleka hizo nguo ambao umeiba huko nje. Je, nikikuja na briefcase imejaa pesa, mtanifukuza?
DP Ruto has, however, defended his donations to churches every time the question has come up, including today when he attended the Thanksgiving service for Embakasi North MP James Gakuya.
Nimejipanga na kanisa kwa sababu siwezi kuwa hasla hapa duniani alafu niende nikuwe hasla tena mbinguni. Hapana, hiyo haiwezekani.
Mudavadi also says that the opposition right now may be shaky, but he believes that there are some people who are going to join him in his crusade that will make sure that he keeps the government and those in it in check. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV in Roka, Kiambu County.
And away from that, listen to this disturbing report. A man in Naivasha's Karagita estate, known as John Kamau, aka Snake, went berserk, killing his lover's son on Saturday, with angry residents lynching him in response. The man, allegedly an ex-convict, is said to have stabbed the 10-year-old boy 8 times before trying to commit suicide.
Residents of Karagita estate in Naivasha milled around the scene to catch a glimpse. This, the murder scene where a 10-year-old boy lost his life. The suspect's body lay lifeless after residents turned on him. He had planned to kill his lover who fled for her dear life, leaving her 10-year-old son behind.
Katoto haka kadogo kenye kanaitwa Alpha Junior, Alpha Muirore, vile hako kalitoka kwa usingizi hakakuwa kanajua chenye kinaendelea. So alikashika, naye dadangu akaenda akajificha kwa neighbor. Vile alikashika akakadunga kisu ya kichwa, kakamuita, anko usinidunge, tafadhali usiniue. Akakashika shingo, akakafinya, tena akakadunga kisu ingine na ingine.
The minor who was asleep when the attack occurred died on the way to Naivasha Sub-County Hospital. According to Monica Mumbi, the suspect had been released from jail 2 months ago and had on several occasions threatened the family. She said that in one of the incidents, her sister, who had a relationship with the suspect, reported the matter to the police, leading to an arrest.
Beleni walikuwa wanazozania dadangu kuna mtu alimpea siri, huyo alikuwa amedunga bibi yake ya kwanza visu.
A neighbor, John Mwangi, said the couple had in the past quarreled after the woman decided to leave the man over his continuous threats. Naivasha OCPD Samuel Waweru confirmed the incident, saying an investigation had started. The two bodies were taken to Naivasha mortuary. Helen Aura, NTV.
Quite an unfortunate report there. Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet has issued a warning to a gang that allegedly carries out attacks in Kisauni, Mombasa County. The gang is said to wear police uniforms while conducting its attacks.
Addressing journalists in Mombasa after meeting top police officers from the coast region, Boynet guaranteed Kisauni residents that insecurity in the area had been contained and officers were pursuing suspects.
Tumepata habari kumekuwa na vijana wanasumbua watu sehemu za Kisauni na officers wa hapa wana mikakati ya kuhakikisha kwamba wale wanasumbua wananchi wanachukuliwa hatua kwa mujibu wa sheria.
Police have been forced to go back to the drawing board to strategize on how to tackle the new dreaded gang. Coast Region Police Commander Noah Muivanda said the gang will be dealt with.
To bring them to book.
Wananchi wetu wanajua mkora ni nani. Tafadhali tupe habari, mtuambie ni fulani wa fulani, ndio alafu tutamchukua hatua kwa mujibu wa sheria.
At least 6 people in Kisauni were killed at the weekend following a series of robbery attacks allegedly conducted by the gang. The police IG is in Mombasa ahead of the Monday launch of Kenya Coast Guard services planned for tomorrow by President Uhuru Kenyatta in Liwatoni, Mombasa. The Coast Guard is meant to check illegal trade and provide security in Kenya's territorial waters, among others.
We have lost close to 500 billion to illegal fishing, and the establishment of the Kenya Coast Guard Service is meant to bring an end to those activities so that these natural resources that are not just limited to the fish can benefit the Kenyan people.
The launch of the Coast Guard service comes at a critical moment when Kenya is preparing to host the Sustainable Blue Economy Conference from November 22nd to 26th. Nur Abdulaziz, NTV.
All right, and away from that, we'll be taking a very short break. But before that, tonight, after this bulletin, we'll be airing a promo, or rather, we'll be airing a feature story called Behind the Scenes. It is an insider's view of the political power play at the highest level of government, with former President Moi's head of the Presidential Press Unit, Lee Njiru, telling it from a very informed perspective. Make sure you make time to watch that documentary. Let's take a break.
Many people feel there's no independence. Tom Mboya, Kikuyus did not like him. They did not want any gray area. Kenyatta referred to Nyerere as a snail, talked about this snail here. Kenyatta was left in the hands of highness. Kenyatta was neglected. They still had that idea that he was not allowed to be the president. They wanted to kill him. He was telling Moi, Your Excellency the President. I told her, I love you. The girl told me, my heart is with somebody else. And I told her, my ambition does not go that high. We had guns of all types, but we did not have thread and a needle. That kind of a scenario can even break the best of men.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Weekend Edition. Now, Jubilee Party leaders President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto have piled the pressure on MPs to vote in favor of realization of the two-thirds gender principle in Parliament. Speaking separately in churches in Nairobi and Kiambu counties, President Kenyatta and Ruto said it is imperative that Parliament meet the requirements of the Constitution of ensuring that no more than two-thirds of its membership is of the same gender. President Kenyatta has also addressed concerns with regard to the implications on the public wage bill, but as Olive Barrows reports, not all legislators are convinced.
Speaking to congregants at the Soul Harvest International Church in Dandora, where he attended a Thanksgiving for Embakasi North MP James Gakuya, Deputy President William Ruto asked MPs to back the two-thirds gender bill.
Asking the Parliament of Kenya to seize this historic moment and put our women in their rightful place, our daughters, our mothers, our wives in the rightful place in the leadership of our country. 30% of women leadership in Kenya, where we have 52% as women in our country, is not too much to ask.
The pressure on MPs to enact legislation for the realization of the two-thirds gender bill in Parliament comes ahead of debate Tuesday on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill. The government bill proposes special nomination seats for women to be shared among political parties depending on their strength in Parliament. If passed, the bill would see the number of National Assembly legislators increase to 391 from the current 349, and senators increase marginally from 67 to 71. Some MPs have, however, come out to say that the bill will not have their support.
Fanye kazi. Lakini hii kazi ya kutafutia watu kadhaa ili wakae kwa viti, sisi kama Nairobi tumesema hapana. Wamama wetu wanataka empowerment, wamama wetu wanataka wapewe mahali ya kufanyia kazi kwa sababu wanaumia.
President Kenyatta has, however, sought to assuage these concerns over the public wage bill.
Najua wengine wanasema hii sijui itaongeza gharama, itafanya namna hii. Lakini ule mswada ulikuwa hapo awali umebadilishwa sasa.
Not only has the executive put the legislators on notice, so have the courts, with a High Court warning in March last year that the House risks dissolution should it fail to abide by the constitutional provisions on gender parity. Advocates for the realization of the law haven't pulled their punches either.
When it comes to voting for this bill, because it's very important for women, we want to see voting being done by a show of hands. Otherwise, because we want to watch and see how those who we have elected are voting.
It is the fourth time an attempt is being made to pass the two-thirds gender law in Parliament. Prior instances have failed to yield positive results despite backing by top political leaders. Olive Barrows, NTV.
All right, and away from that, a new leadership for the Nyandarua County Assembly is set to be unveiled next week after the cessation of the wrangles that have defined the House business for the better part of the year. The truce was reached after a meeting called in Nairobi proved successful.
A week after the meeting took place, business at the Assembly seems to be returning to normal. Political leaders who had been active players in the leadership wrangles choosing to bury the hatchet. Before the truce, House business had been characterized by near-daily fracas. The cause of the chaos? Scramble for the leadership of the House.
We changed the leadership of the County Assembly, and one agreement was that leadership takes over. We see how far now we go with the new leadership.
Sababu wale walio wengi walienda na wakachaguana, na walipochaguana Mheshimiwa Spika akakataa kuamkua kama kiongozi wa bunge. Sasa marubano ikaanzia hapo.
It was a situation that had even residents here concerned.
Ile kitu inaonekana huku ni vita. Sisi hatunufaiki.
Sisi kazi yetu ni kuwa namba moja kwa uchaguzi. Lakini kwenye mambo ya kusaidiwa hatusaidikiki. Na hiyo si shida ya rais. Hiyo ni problem of the leadership in Nyandarua County.
Kulikuwa na msukasuko wa MCA na governor, lakini sasa wako pamoja na nikidhani sasa kazi itaendelea.
With the situation threatening to get out of hand, other political leaders from the county, including the governor, the senator and MPs stepped in to mediate and provide lasting and amicable solutions.
We agreed that those who were elected take their positions, and those who are there before, we give them some committee leadership.
But the assembly is already working, and that is a true mark of the fact that the agreement has been honored and is working.
With the cessation of the hostilities, the residents are now hopeful that their elected leaders will now concentrate on the business that put them in the House, to legislate and drive the development agenda.
Now, in the dense Aberdare forest in Nyandarua County lies a vital part of Kenya's history, the Mau Mau caves. More than 6 caves in the county served as operational bases for the Mau Mau freedom fighters against white settlers. The hidden treasures possess rich tourism potential that the county government of Nyandarua looks to tap into. NTV's Melita Oletenges takes up the Aberdare forest to the Mau caves, otherwise known as the Sophia Caves.
Tucked deep inside the Aberdare ranges 3,000 feet above the sea level, in a place known as Sophia, are the Mau Mau caves. Getting to the top of the ranges and into the caves is, however, not a task for the faint-hearted. The unrelenting cold weather, the thick bushes, and the treacherous 1-hour hike up a stretch of 4 kilometers is enough to leave one weary. It is a journey that the Mau Mau fighters took time and again at the height of the struggle for independence.
Sweet. They're good.
When hunger pangs bite, wild fruits come in handy. Was how Mau Mau fighters used to survive in the caves. Finally, we get to the top. The magnificent display of Nyandarua County manifests on one side, and the huge boulders under which the Mau Mau caves are found on the other.
These are there are a series of 6 to 7 caves that are around here. They are called Sophia Caves. Sophia Caves because the Mzungu who was living here had a wife called Sophie.
It's the fascinating natural arrangement and placement of the caves that make them unique, tucked between the valleys and camouflaged by huge rocks. This was a perfect vantage point for the Mau Mau to monitor their enemies' movements.
Ule mzungu alikuwa anakuja na bunduki, anapika bunduki, inazuiliwa na hiyo mawe kubwa.
The ancient nature of the cave remains intact. Bones from the meat that the Mau Mau had as their meals are still disposed here.
Ambiango walikuwa nakula nyama, matunda ya kichakani ya hapa, hasari kama ile nyuki ziko pale. People can come and hike. People can come from Nairobi and just come and have a touch of a Luro setup.
Under these huge boulders, the Mau Mau freedom fighters found a perfect hideout and refuge away from the enemy's radar. These caves now hold a rich historical significance and are a major tourist attraction filled with great adventure. Melita Oletenges, NTV at the Sophia Caves, Nyandarua County.
Now, apart from the North Rift, Nyandarua County prides itself in being the other home of some of the world record-beating athletes from the highland region. The climate and altitude in the county being the key factor in growing the next generation of world record holders. However, there is a concern among those who have seen better. NTV's Bridget Singana spoke with Julius Kariuki, a retired athlete who says the future of athletics in Kenya seems bleak if sportsmen and women remain shut out of sports management.
On the grounds of the Nyandarua Technical Institute, we meet up with Julius Kariuki, a retired Olympic world record holder on the track. The 57-year-old looks on at the ongoing Governor's Cup tournament that had drawn participants from the 5 sub-counties in Nyandarua with the sole intent of growing the next crop of sporting talent for the county and country. Julius is among the elite athletes born and bred here in Nyandarua, and he says that the county has an unrivaled high-altitude training capacity outside the Rift Valley. For 28 years, Kariuki held on to the 3,000-meter steeplechase Olympic record he smashed in 1988 in Japan.
So 1988 ndio nilikuja 3000 meters na nikawin steeplechase. Now with a very good record time of 805.5. It's almost the world record. Na hiyo record ilikaa bila ilifunjwa mwaka jana na Kipsengeri ndio alifunja hiyo kwa Olympic. Kwa hiyo
For this county, growing the next crop of sportsmen and women is at the heart of such competitions like the Governor's Cup tournament that features football, volleyball and track and field.
What we want is to create a sport tourism. We get our talents, we nurture them, we expose them, and then once they get there, they start earning an income.
Speaking to one Julius Kariuki, a retired athlete by now, reminds me of the pride that I usually have when I see these athletes make Kenya great abroad in all the international competitions that they take part in. And when we look at such tournaments here in Nyandarua County, there is hope that the talent for the sports industry in this country is still very much alive. He has done his part and now doles out advice to the fresh crop of talent from here. Shun doping and maintain sobriety. Apart from organizing sporting events, the county government of Nyandarua has been engaging the young sportsmen and women in other economic empowering activities. Bridget's Ngana, NTV, Nyandarua County.
Now, the strings that tie the county of Nyandarua to the history of colonialism can be traced beyond the Mau Mau struggle. The county was part of what came to be known as the Happy Valley Set, a group of British aristocrats who made the Wanjohi Valley here their playground. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports from the relics of that past.
The driveway into the Kipipiri house is perhaps the first giveaway of the opulence that once characterized life here in the Wanjohi Valley in Kipipiri, Nyandarua County. The well-manicured lawns and hedges, still resplendent as they were when the original owners of this home roamed them in the early 1900s. Those who lived here spared no expense in ensuring that they were comfortable, the remnants of the opulence still visible over 100 years later. Here we go. Solid hardwood doors, battered by the vagaries of weather and time, but still in good shape, lead into the house that was once the stomping ground of the wealthy British colonialists. Indeed, these houses gained notoriety for the parties that were held here, where alcohol, drugs, and sex were the main items on the menu. They became even more famous for a love triangle that resulted in the murder of one of the aristocrats, Jocelyn Hay. That murder has been the subject of movies and novels, putting the exploits of the former owners of these homes onto the global map. But not all the houses in the Happy Valley set are as well maintained as this one. Others have fallen into hard times, now a pale shadow of their former glorious selves, the neglect quite visible. This is just one of the over 20 properties that made up the Happy Valley sets of homes that were occupied by the British aristocrats back in the colonial times. The aristocrats here known more for their lavish lifestyles and sexual exploits. But the county now wants to change that narrative by bringing in a modern era of new tourist attractions just down this property. The transformation is already underway. On this expansive property that the Kipipiri house stands, the foundations of what is said to be the biggest investment yet in the county is taking shape. A 22 billion shillings investment is set to turn the vast lands around here into a golf course, a 5-star hotel, 600 holiday homes, an airstrip and a clubhouse. The centerpiece, however, will remain the Kipipiri house, now set to be turned into a museum for visitors to the property. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
All right, thank you so much, Brenda Wanga. Well, we have a lot from this county, but we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we speak to the county boss, His Excellency Francis Kimemia. You do not want to miss that.
NTV Weekend Edition with Zainab Ismail.
But I can turn the pages.
Welcome back to the bulletin. Thank you so much for staying with us at this point. We are now joined by Nyandarua County Governor, His Excellency Francis Kimeme, just to give us a glimpse of what he's been doing in the county. Thank you so much for making time for us and, of course, hosting NTV for the past few days in your great county.
Yes.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Mr. Governor, probably just to begin off this interview, I'd like to understand, when you joined the county, how was the state and what is the state at this point?
Thank you very much for that question, and thank you very much NTV for repositioning Nyandarua County. As you remember, even people didn't even seem to know where Nyandarua was, whether it was the capital of Laikipia, whether it was in Nakuru, whether it was in Nyeri. So I think you have done a lot in terms of explaining to the people where Nyandarua is and where it should be. When I took over this county, in terms of rankings, we're among the least counties. The data for the county is extremely horrible. It is not very encouraging. You realize we are above the poverty line, which is not explainable. We are 46% above the poverty line by the time we took over, and at 46%, the national average is 45%. About 22% of the population have secondary education. The balance do not have secondary education, and you see between 0 and 14 years, you're talking about 43%. So very, very child-rich county, which is good on one hand. About 60% up to age 25. So we have a very young population. We had no investment whatsoever, no industry, no university, no stadium, no investor was here. This hotel is just about 1 month. A very welcome investment. It's very good that we are holding this function here, so people can see what you can do when there is good environment.
So with all this that has been, all the challenges that has been facing the county, what would you say is now your biggest achievement so far as the county governor?
We had very poor road network, very poor connectivity in terms of power, very poor connectivity in terms of water. We've just been about maybe 6 months in terms of development in the county, but we've been able to do, say, 270 roads have been done. We have sunk very many boreholes. We have put in very many kilometers of roads, and with the national government, there are major roads that are now earmarked for tarmacking. Out of 3,600 kilometers of road, only about 250 kilometers are tarmac. But now with the opening up of the roads in Engineer, the roads in Kipipiri, in Ojorok, and in Okalau, we'll see thousands of kilometers also coming up tarmac roads in this county.
All right, and still on infrastructure, we understand that you are going to revive the old railway line in this county.
Yes.
And of course, this is going to help significantly the agriculture sector in this country, which is a mainstay of the economy.
Yes.
What impact will it have for the county?
Lots of impact in terms of, we want to put up a potato factory, processing plant, milk processing plants. We are looking at vegetables. We are looking at new crops like, pyrethrum and bamboo. And sugar beets. So we need to transport this by road and also by railway. We're also reviving the airport, which is just 2 kilometers from here, the Ojorok airstrip, which is a very modern airstrip, tarmac, better than what you have in Nyeri. So we want to see how industries, the hotels here, hotel like this one, the Panari hotels, the hotels in Nyandarua County, the business people in Nyandarua County can start utilizing that facility. So we're in talks with the Kenya Airports Authority, see how we can start reviving that that airport. The railway line is already existing, and we are saying before you put in the standard gauge railway, is it possible to activate the existing railway? People can start carrying goods through the railway as we improve the road network, and it will create labor, it will create jobs for the young people. The way it was functioning before it was shut down. So as we put up new industries, new modes of transportation will be required for goods and people in this county. So that's why we are very keen to see, and it will connect Nyahururu, possibly go to Nyeri, go to Nanyuki, go to Isiolo, to Meru, and connect to the Lapset. And then of course connect with the one from Nairobi to Isiolo and through the subset. So that this county is also networked with both the Rift Valley side and also the eastern and the western side and the other counties.
All right.
So that markets, we can improve markets. You see, here we have lots of foods. We are a food security county. We supply all the potatoes. We are number 1 leader.
Yes.
With potatoes at 35%.
Of the produce.
They come from this county.
All right.
So how do you explain the poverty index that I've talked about, that we are above the poverty line? It's lack of markets, lack of value addition, lack of processing, and this is the focus of my manifesto and the CIDP, which are the major achievements in this county, that we have been able with the people of Nyandarua to develop a roadmap, the 5-year roadmap for this county.
All right, and we'll come to agriculture and the challenges, and of course, since it's the mainstay of the county, let's take a look at the tourism sector for a moment. Even with the stories that we've been able to do, we have the Olbolosot Lake, we also have the Mau Mau Caves,
the Happy Valley,
all the stories inside.
Tourism, How
are you able to, utilize this to increase the revenue of your county? Because it seems at this point, not many people are even aware that such tourism sites are existing.
You'd be shocked, people did not even know that we had a lake, the only lake in the central part of Kenya. And I was telling the governors in the central region, I chair the central Kenya block, that we have a lake in the region. And we can be able to connect, which we are doing now with the Minister Balala, to put the Nyandarua County now on the tourism circuit of Kenya. So that before tourists go to Masai Mara or to Thompson Falls, that they're able to pass through, the new route, from the flyover through Jabini to the Mau Mau Caves, to Karuru Falls. I'm sure maybe you may not have seen the Karuru Falls, larger than Thompson Falls, that tourists come to see. The Karuru Falls is much bigger, and you're able to see the Mau Mau Caves, the Happy Valley homes. You have the golf course in Kipipiri, and all the way to the beautiful agriculture and beautiful landscapes. The elephants in the Abadeas Forest among the largest. The 800 hippos in the Lake Obosat among the biggest in Africa. 800 of them, they have been counted, and very many birds from Europe, from the whole world, come to get chicks, to lay their chicks in the lake and fly out back to. So bird watchers need to really come and see. We are doing the cable cars, along the Abadeas. And we are seeing how we can connect with the Mount Kenya region. That you can use cable cars through Dakaini to Mount Kenya region to Oborosat. So there are big plans that are in place for the county, and they're in our CIDP. So as I said, we have people think we have been in the office for years and years, but it's because of the great expectations that people have for this county, and we want to assure them that these dreams will come true.
All right. In terms of agriculture, let's just go back a little bit.
Yes.
It's the mainstay of the economy. Potatoes, 80% of the potatoes consumed in Kenya coming from Nyandarua County. And there's an issue here. There's a question of, you're able to produce this, but are you able to, transport it to other counties? You're able to give the necessary facility to ensure that this produce does not rot?
Yes. I think, in fact, you start with even much higher. You start with the seeds, because you have to look at the quality of the potatoes and then the viability of that potato in the market. So we have come up with a tissue culture, which is just outside here in Ojorok. So we're able to grow seeds that are disease-free. Then we'll also be able to improve the varieties of the potatoes that we want to get into markets. But there are those that are for starch, those that are for chips, for clips, for all various types of potatoes. There are very many uses of potatoes apart from just cooking at home. So then we have to look at the international market, the regional market, and the local market. But you see, what happens is that you harvest potatoes all at one go. So you have a glut, you have so many potatoes. So you're coming up with cold storages. And then from there, then you process those potatoes. And then you identify markets within Kenya and outside this country. And that's what we have been doing in the countries we have been to, all the way from Europe to China to the Americas, to see which technology will be introduced in this county to process potatoes. We import starch. You can get starch from the potatoes. And many other animal feeds, human feeds. And we also want the potato to enter the national food reserve. So the same way you put in maize, National Cereals and Produce Board, you should be able to put in the dry potatoes, the ground potatoes, the potato flour in the National Cereals and Produce Board, take it to Turkana, to the Asal, these dry areas, and sell it to those communities, not just maize. So this is what we are working out on the pillar.
Of course, and those are some of the developments.
These are some of the developments. Look at seeds, subsidize the farmers, give them subsidized potatoes, fertilizer, husbandry. We are mechanizing, the whole sector, bring in new technology in the sector, so that young people can also enter the market of farming with a small engines to cultivate.
All right, Mr. Governor, just a little bit away from the developments, which is at the highlight of the day. There was a question here. In fact, it's one of our viewers has posed, and they're asking, the county assembly has been embroiled, it has been on the limelight, embroiled in wrangles, What really was the problem, and has that situation been solved?
It has been solved. The problem was very simple. A new leadership was put in place by the majority of the members. They came up with the majority whip, the deputy. They came up with the chief whip and the deputy, and they they changed the leadership in the county. And then there was a problem of communicating that list of the new leadership due to various technicalities in law and outside the law, and of course other interests. So when we found that this problem is not going to end if we don't sort it out, then we came up with the other leaders and we were able to prevail on the county assembly to announce get a truce and remind them that they were elected on a platform of development and peace.
All right, so now you're focusing on development.
So that is what we are focusing on peace,
squabbles,
on development. This county has been involved in squabbles right from independence, in fightings, and we want to bring an end.
And even as you speak
and
of
focus
that,
on development and peace.
Right.
And this value addition, no tourists will come here, no foreign direct investments will come in a county that is permanently fighting. No investor will bring his money in a county that is fighting.
And even as you speak of,
and no national development will bring in the resources. If we are fighting, the president will not come here if we are always embroiled in fighting.
A month ago, you raised a concern about corruption in the county in terms of ghost workers, depleting the county coffers. Has that situation been resolved?
We are working on it with the EACC. We will do a second-hand count so that we can be able to cleanse our payroll and cleanse our books and account for every person. We also want to put every officer on a performance contract so that people can be able to account for what they do on a daily basis. From the messenger to the governor, all of us should be accountable for results. So everybody will be signing a performance contract, and others will be signing their work plans, their weekly work plans, so that everybody can be held to account. Because there are very many people, they may not be ghosts, but they're not producing for the county. So we want everybody to be accounting every week what each officer from at whatever level was able to deliver to the people of Nyandarua County.
All right. So, Governor, lastly but not least, time is always, we know very little, but of course quite a lot to discuss. I'd like to ask you a question on the national interest as we wind up. What is your view on the referendum debate? And lastly, what is it that you would like the people of Nyandarua to remember you by when you leave office?
I think maybe on the last one, the people of Nyandarua should remember me and the team that I work with, because we work as a team with the cabinet, with the county assembly and other leaders. They would like to be remembered as a governor who was able to put money in the pockets of our people, to add value into the lives of our people, whether it is in health, making sure people access affordable health, whether it is in water. We should be able to make sure that we increase the percentages from the current 43% to possibly 80% in the next 5 years. If we do the Keja Dam, the Maloa Dam, and the Pesi Dams, and the other small dams and ponds that we are putting up, the boreholes we are buying a rig to make sure that we have water. Nyandarua people don't have water, yet we supply water to Nairobi and other parts. We should be remembered as a governor who was able to bring in water to the homes of the people, clean water to almost 90% of the people of Nyandarua. The road network, we should be able to move that 3,600%, and we should be able to get at least 70% of our roads in very passable conditions. We are a very large county. Very large county. We are almost 3 times, one-third. We are one-third of the Central Kenya region. So that is a very high percentage in terms of power, connectivity to our people. We like to increase that. Our people should not live in darkness. Our children should study with the clean lights, not the paraffin or diesel lamps. And I think if we're able to put resources into the people's pockets, add value to their crops, I think that would be a very good legacy for this country. And that will be done through industrialization, through value addition, and also making sure that our young people have access to affordable
and bridge
jobs.
That youth unemployment rate in the country,
which is very
last
high.
but not least, very briefly, literally a few sentences in regards to the referendum debate.
We have pronounced this before, that we would like to see the referendum driven by resource to Kenyans. We would like to see a referendum that brings down the cost of government and increases services to to the people.
All right.
And I asked for an equation. We need to get a balance sheet that if you implement this referendum, it will accrue this advantage in terms of even the value, for shillings. It will bring this value to the budget, so that we shall have more roads, more water, more power, more medicine to Anjiko. If it is a referendum to create posts or jobs for other people, then I think that will be, it will not be a useful referendum for this country.
All right.
We would like a referendum that increases services to the people of this country. And we are saying counties like Nyandarua or other counties should not be abolished.
Should not be abolished.
The issue of abolishing counties, that is something I do not advocate, because you will not be able to focus on the smallest wards, smallest villages, the way county governments have been able to. But there are other areas that can be matched and collapse and be able to accrue advantage to the people of Nyandarua County.
All right. Thank you so much, His Excellency Francis Kimemia, the County Governor of Nyandarua County. Thank you so much for hosting us and for making time for us. He says he is the governor that wants to leave a legacy of improving the lives of the Nyandarua people. Thank you so much. At this point, we'll take a very short break. When we come back, still much more from Nyandarua and, of course, a little bit of the sporting action. Stay tuned.
Zainab Ismail.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Weekend Edition. Now, the county of Nyandarua has been billed as a cosmopolitan one despite being predominantly populated by the Kikuyu community. One of the communities that gave it that tag is the Turkana, who settled here on the fringes of Lake Olbolosat in 1957. More than 6 decades later, the community has expanded in size and now call Nyandarua their home. Take a look. Next to the Olbolosat Lake lies a tight-knit community. The Turkana people have found a home here in Ukalau amid a predominantly Kikuyu community. Elder Epuarwata says their forefathers came to the area more than 50 years ago.
Wazazi wetu uliendelea kutoka mwaka 66 ndio wazee wetu akaya hapa, na alikuwa amekalia shamba a jamaa moja naitwa Robert Muchai kama ni waajiriwa.
Nikumbuka vizuri baba aliniambia alikuja 1957 mala hapa. Ndio kosi ya Waturkana wote nawaona.
Although at a slow rate, they have intermarried with other communities and are now forming a larger all-inclusive community.
In Nyandarua we have about 700,000 people, and out of that about 90% are Kikuyus, and then the rest is 10% comprises of now the Turkana, the Ruo, the Ruya, the Kamba, and also the Kisis.
The residents, however, say they are facing a myriad of challenges. The economy, they lament, has forced them to live in a destitute state, saying the land allocated to them has become too small.
Watu wa kijiji hii wanategemea kibarua kwa wenyewe. Wakati hakuna mtu nakuja tu analala.
Shida yetu hata kupanda mahala ambapo tunaweza panda kitu kama mboga hatuipati.
Livestock is very important in the Turkana culture. They serve both as a source of food and at times even currency to negotiate bride price, and you will see young boys from a very tender age graze the family's cattle throughout the area. And even though they're in a different land, the Turkana have maintained the traditional way of life, including their dressing and traditional beliefs. Right, and at that point we take another short break. When we come back, still a lot from this county.
welcome. My name is Brian Otwal. The national under-23 football team beat Mauritius 3-1 in the second leg of their first round under-23 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier to sail into the second round on 8-1 on aggregate. Piston Mutamba, Ovelo Ochieng and James Mazembe each scored a goal for Kenya, and in the second round the emerging stars will face off with either Sudan or Seychelles, who drew 1-1 in the first leg and who will play their second leg on Tuesday in Khartoum. There is also a third round to be navigated before Kenya can book a ticket to play in the under-23 AFCON set for Egypt in November 2019. And Carl Flash Tundo, navigated by Team Jesop in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10, won the 39th edition of the Guru Nanak Rally, securing his 6th win of the season, in which he has been in imperious form. Tundo has enjoyed his most successful season that saw him equal and then break legendary Shekhar Mehta's long-standing record with the 6 wins he chalked up. Onkar Rai, winner of the season opening round in Nakuru, placed second overall in Guru Nanak and secured third spot overall on the KNRC final standings. Reigning African Rally champion Manveer Barian completed the podium in a Skoda R5. And Cynthia Jerop and Jackson Kemboya, the winners of this year's edition of the CAS International Marathon held in Eldoret. Jerop, who was second in the Standard Chartered Marathon Nairobi last month, clocked 2 hours, 39 minutes and 16 seconds to finish first ahead of Beatrice Ruto and former world half marathon record holder Paris Jepchirchir. Jackson Kemboy backed the men's title in a time of 2 hours, 20 minutes and 27 seconds. Silas Moetich and Dennis Kipto sealed the podium places. Gilbert Kimunyan and Joyce Jepkomoy won the men and women 10-kilometer races. SportPesa Harlequins opened their 2018-2019 Kenya Cup campaign with a bonus win after seeing off Mwamba RFC 29-26 at the RFUA grounds. Queens raced in 4 tries in the first half to lead 24-5 at the break and added the 5th immediately after the restart. Kulabu mounted a late comeback with Brian Kivasia, Farrell Mtani, Michael Agevi and Brad Owako touching down, but it was too late as they lost by 3 points. In Ethiopia, Jordan Ayew scored both goals for Ghana as the Black Stars beat Ethiopia 2-0 in Addis Ababa in their Group F 2019 AFCON qualifier. It was the perfect return for Black Stars squad for Jordan.
Much Brian Otwal. Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this evening and a wrap for NTV on the Road Highland edition. It has been fantastic at the we are at the Olbolosot Resort Lodge, and it has been quite an interesting experience. The stories, the people, the culture, the development that we've witnessed in this county. It is a close, and of course what we are going to do next is go to your county. So be prepared, because NTV on the Road will be next. In which county? You never know. So be prepared for that. My name is Zainab Ismail, and from the entire team here that made this possible, we thank you so much for watching. My name is Zainab Ismail once again. Our sign language interpreter this evening was Flora Atieno. And of course we have Sami Do, who's been giving us a taste of the Mugithi music from Nyandarua County. I'll let it take it.
Wasiaro ke go tware amami wairingo de mwana gekaige atondo ni kwendete muno kaire tu gakwandikie ndokorera thi Tayo na ndathimi ciumaga na muciĩ na rĩkorwo igua ciugo ici ririkana mũno ciugo ici cia ndandi na wacibuata nĩ